so much gloom hiding the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah. Take a look into the sky. Take a look into the sky. Keep your head up high. Keep your head up high. Take a look into the sky.
Take a look up to that blue sky, because there is plenty of it to go around. In fact, for miles and miles, as we settle in for a 12 or an 11-pack Sunday, force of habit, just 11. It's almost like a half a day here at Gulfstream. All kidding aside, though, it's July 22nd. Jason Blewett, Ron Nicoletti joining you. Look up in the sky. You might just see our third-floor clubhouse studios here at the old GP by the Sea as we come out of a Saturday, Ronnie, in which we ran 12 yesterday. 2 winning favorites overall.
Yeah, bombs away throughout the whole afternoon. If I wasn't tied up with this microphone, I'd get up and dance because we're back on the turf today.
Yeah, good stuff there. Fast and firm. We have not run a turf race, and again, safety goes first. We've got ourselves a brand new inner turf, quote unquote, and we have not run a turf race since the first on Friday, and then the skies opened up, and we've been on the main track ever since. Now, it remains to be seen how this main track will play today. I don't think there was any denying, and it was something we had talked about heading to the middle portion of yesterday's card, that it was a dirt surface, very much favoring outside runners, more that outside flow, wide movers in the stretch. We'll see. It's a new day. We may have a completely different track. We'll find out. We've also got a lot of wagering up for grabs as we start this July the 22nd program at about 1:20 p.m. The high five with a nice breeze blowing outside there in the infield and those Gulfstream Park palm trees, and the pick five as well coming your way with Sunday's first. No middle pick four, which means we get right into that Rainbow Six carryover. Ronnie up next with over 400 G's in the kitty.
$412,000. We had one horse alive in the Rainbow Six yesterday, ended up finishing third in our final race of the afternoon. So the carryover today, it could be well over $500,000.
Yeah, the Rainbow Six, even though the favorite won the last race in Michelle's Laugh, you had a Rainbow Six payout for 20 cents that paid almost $7,000. Will we have more of the same today? And obviously, I didn't get a sniff in the Saturday late pick five, but I'm coming back in with a $27 ticket, and that sequence on this Sunday afternoon gets underway in earnest with race number 7. So fast and firm, difficult Saturday here. I would imagine if you were right maybe once or 1.5 times, you probably left with a bankroll that was pretty darn nice and pretty darn fat.
What was the double again? 1,700 or something like
Almost
that?
1,800. Yeah, races
amazing.
1 and 2, we had essentially back-to-back 30-to-1 shots. Now, this first race is not an easy puzzle at all. Ronnie and I basically have the same 3 horses boxed up, and I mention that because, well, I'm a little more confident than perhaps I had been going into this first race using the 1, 5, and 7, with Ronnie having the exact same horses on his trifecta ticket. I'm too deep in race number 2. We've got a real favorite there with Carlo Vaccareza's drop down in Scorched Earth, who does get Tyler Gaffalione off that 459-day layoff. He's going to be a big favorite in that race. Stay tuned to see how Scorched Earth runs off that lengthy freshening. I've got my single in race number 5. That race had perhaps, at least in my book, the biggest scratch today in the form of the 7, Loving Valentina. And I think you're looking at a very short price favorite on the number 5, Beauty of a Day, who's actually the now second choice on the morning line. I just don't see Lexi's Doll being favored over the 5, Beauty of a Day, and it's a great spot, I think, for that Marcus Vitale trained mare, who's just very consistent. And a 3-pack in races 4 and 5. I think Light Show is set to win here, second time out for Armando de la Cerda. Do you like that horse?
Yeah, it's a lateral move today. 16 career debut, going for 20 down to 16 again. So good shot in there. That's why I like it. We got the same 3 on our ticket.
And I'm almost blown away by 8-horse field aside. The the group assembled for Sunday's 5th race, especially when you're talking summertime in South Florida. You look at that race, chock full of good turf horses that have done some pretty nice things here and there throughout their respective careers. You have got backclass for days in that one. And overall, I look at that race and I think, wow, we really do have a strong daily product at this time of the year at Gulfstream Park. That's a good field.
That's a good field. Tons of speed in there. And so as I see it, so we'll see how that race plays out. I went with a stalk closer in that race. But that race is the one in the early pick 5 that's a little bit of a head scratcher.
You've got Tipsy Kitten. Speaking of being a head scratcher, you've got Tipsy Kitten, who lost all chance last time out. You will see the start of that one's last race in just a few minutes for trainer David Fox. But we do set sail, an 11-race Sunday afternoon, and wouldn't you know it, an 11-horse field on the turf to start things out at 7.5 furlongs. We've got this 3-and-up filly mare, 2 lifetime claimer, in which Ledecky going out for trainer Kathleen O'Connell. Kathleen just 15 wins away. I think you probably saw the short comment with my early pick 5 ticket. It was brought to my attention yesterday that she's on the cusp of 2,000 career victories, and we were talking maybe she'll make it 14 with the 5 Ledecky and Edgar Zayas. She might be the winningest female trainer of all time in terms of victories in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone that, you know, that would come close. Now, what'd you say about Linda?
Well, for a point of comparison, I didn't spend a ton of time, and this is something we'll definitely look into a little more with Kathleen inching closer to that big 2,000 win milestone. Linda Rice, but again, she's the one that I thought, okay, if there's one trainer that might have more than Kathleen, it might just be Linda Rice, but she, quote-unquote, only has 1,700 and change. So you're talking 200 additional wins for Kathleen O'Connell, and Ledecky is very live here in the first race, to say the least, as she comes out of a win here right around Kentucky Derby Day.
Well, I feel bad now giving you this stat on Ledecky with Kathleen O'Connell, maiden winner last out, all levels on the turf. She's 9 for 68, 13%, 32% in the money, $1.53 return of investment. That's why I put her in third. But I can't tell you how many times Kathleen has helped me get a trip to the bank. She's an excellent trainer.
Oh, she is terrific, and her recent big claim to fame, upsetting the Princess Rooney here, Breeders' Cup, winning you're in for the filly mare sprint way down the line this fall at Churchill Downs. She had the upset winner in Stormy Embrace, and trip to the Breeders' Cup for Kathleen, and perhaps it will be career win 1986 in today's first race with the 5 Ledecky. You and I, though, both like the 7 Durbin, who may be favored when it's all said and done. And what won me over with this filly is just her recent form.
Yeah, I think she also sits the perfect trip behind what I see as suspect speed in the race. Those trio of third-place finishes. I thought she was the logical one. Classic act, parts from the rail, opened and surrendered that 4.5-length lead. Thus, the reason liking Durbin so much.
I love seeing those Mrs. Hines silks with the #1 classic act. This horse might be the only horse still running for Carolyn Hine, who's at Gulfstream every time this two-step salsa filly runs in a turf race, and takes me right back to being in high school, my freshman year of college, watching, you know who I'm talking about.
Sonny.
Yes, Sonny Hine, and of course, Skip Away.
Skip Away, what a great horse. We tell that all the time. One of the top 10 horses, I think, ever.
Oh, I would put him in my top 10 of horses I've seen.
Especially because of the Florida connections. I mean, for me, you know, it just seems he was one of the greatest horses, along with, of course, Mecky.
And a freight train and completely iron. And both of those horses cut from the same cloth. They would dance every dance, and they would just hit oh so hard at racing's highest levels. Here's the second. We're on the main track. Again, we are coming off a Saturday program in which it was very much an outside flow type main track. We've had obviously a few hours from about 7 p.m., give or take, from the time yesterday's 12th race was run. We had Sunday morning training, so we may have a completely different track. Stay tuned for that. We do have a big favorite, though, here in race number 2 in the 9 Scorched Earth. Normally at a short price, not the kind of horse I'm going to go all in on, especially considering it's been about 460 days since this filly last ran. To see Carlo, though, reach out for Tyler Gaffalione on a horse like this, That, to me, is the best sign of all. I just don't see, because their percentages together are so high, I don't see Carlo wasting Tyler's time if he doesn't think this filly is just very live and set to win, even with the big drop to 10K.
Yeah, I put the horse in second, and my thought process was I would have liked to have seen her work either here or at Palm Meadows, coming in off those trio of workouts at Classic Mile Park. Came within a neck of defeating those 25 maidens last May. The obvious choice in there, but that was my thought process by putting the 3 Kitty and Hill on top of my ticket. May have found a spot finally to notch that elusive maiden victory, finishing third in 3 races at this level and distance.
Going out for Rohan Crichton, and David Baracco's done a good job with her. She's run well beneath David in all 3 of her starts. She is the main danger. If you're not a fan of Scorched Earth or think she's going to be overbet, which she probably will because of Tyler's presence, Kitty and Hill is the other horse in the race who's got the best looking form and recent form on paper. Here's the third on the day, 3-and-up fillies and mares in this 6250 claimer as we stretch out on the main track, and we'll go the 1-turn mile. This may, in the end, be a race that the 5 Beauty of a Day without the scratch 7-horse Loving Valentina, who I really liked a lot today, and I thought her stock moved up exponentially with Luna Lanita coming back and running for the level, a hole in the wind here late on yesterday's card. But with her out, I just don't see where else I can go here outside of the 5 Beauty of a Day.
Yeah, stepping up to face Open Company after rallying to defeat those condition claimers at the distance. Marcus Vitale, Sammy Camacho going for 2 in a row. Just to scratch a Loving Valentina. Just moved this one way up. The horse I put in second, you have in fourth. It's just a speed play, 20-1 on the morning line. Goes from the rail speed, but the obvious reasoning is this one has the tendency to weaken in the stretch. Just a speed play for my exacta.
I'm obviously a little against, as are you, me more so than Ronnie, the 8 Lexi's Doll, who's probably going to be second choice now without Loving Valentine in the race. Again, I just don't see her favorite in this spot. And with all due respect, we don't know much about her trainer, who's only run a dozen horses, or in this case, a baker's dozen on the year. I say that with Herbert Miller, but he did upset yesterday's first race with Art Major, who paid about 65 bucks. So perhaps this is going to be one of these newish barns with the small numbers as far as starters go to keep an eye on, but I want to see one here off the claim for Lexi's Doll.
Yeah, the only positive, I mean, one of the positives, I really likes Gulfstream is 6 for 8 in the money, so a horse for course play. So.
Oh, she's had a good career. She's a nice little hard-hitting, lower-level claimer, no doubt, but again, Beauty of a Day for me and Ronnie in race number 3. Let's move on to the 4th. As we stay on the dirt, we sprint, we bring on these 3-and-up filly and mare, $20,000 to $16,000 maiden claimers, and I am very much, and this is a good race. This is not an easy race where, even though Ronnie and I are back on a cold 5-5 double in races 3 and 4, Light Show's going to have to run well in this race, and I'm hoping, as we backtrack to her career debut back on June 22nd, hopefully you get a more gate-sharp, experienced, educated filly. She's on the outside, the number 7 in this 5-horse field. She's in the purple. She's off last. I wanted to pull this replay not only because of the poor start. Watching races and watching racing, it's very subjective, and the chart callers here at Gulfstream do a great job. The rushed up comment, this is one where I'm going to disagree a little bit, where although this filly did gain a bit, this is not my idea of a rush up after a slow break. This is more of an in-hand, steady bit on the outside, and I have a feeling Light Show, even though I like her, is going to be a little over bet, or at least a shorter price than she probably should be because of the rushed up comment. She gets herself into contention again with that slow, steady, it wasn't in the blink of an eye. She gets herself into contention right around the mid-turn marker. They just passed the quarter pole, and she's out of steam by the time they hit the top of the stretch. She breaks better today, though. You would imagine you're going to get a fitter, stronger, and just overall a better filly here for Armando de la Cerda.
And mentioning Armando de la Cerda, let's show you a stat in him over the last 5 years. Second career start, all maidens on the dirt. He's 23%. He's in the money 45% of the time, and he has a $3.90 return of investment. So you knew that was going to be a good stat because Armando de la Cerda just does an excellent job. Now, in second, I used the 2 Pretty Shady, or Pretty Shady is how you want to say it. dropping to this level after dueling for lead weekend to finish 4th against those maiden special weight runners. Louis Duco keeps it light. He's got 10-pound apprentice, Kevin Carmona. And what did Kevin Carmona do yesterday? Win his first race.
Yeah, got doused, the traditional jockey's ethos there. Got doused with some baby powder, some water, and we posted that on our Gulfstream social media channels, which are worth a follow. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Gulfstream Park is on it. And good to see Kevin, who, by the way, is a 19-year-old native of Puerto Rico and was riding regularly, at least as far as morning trading hours go, for Todd Pletcher over the wintertime. And Ed Gray finding a good nugget after the race yesterday that Kevin won. Kevin was the regular trading rider of a Florida Derby winner in Audible, so pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool, and now on his own, and it's always great to see that, just 19 years old, and looked pretty good on the horse, so we'll see how his career progresses. The horse you have in second, Paola, I really didn't know what to do with this. I like the recent workout, but I don't know. That last race at the 35 level as the tepid favorite wasn't very pretty.
Very disappointed in that effort, and I was one of the people that made her the 3-to-1 choice in that race. I liked her in that big 10-horse field. She drops down. Hopefully you get a better race out of her, but the jury very much still out as to whether the drop to 20K might be enough for that filly by Misremembered from the rail with Miguel Vasquez. Here's the 5th on the card. This might just be the early portion of the program highlight for me. I do like a couple of horses earlier in the day, and we've got the countdown with Kathleen O'Connell looking for her 2000th win in the first with Ledecky, but this is a very solid $30,000 to $25,000 claimer with a field of 8 on the turf, and you do have quite a bit of backclass and horses that for the most part have plied their trade against better competition. Now the one Tipsy Kitten is going to take a lot of beating, and this horse to me is a must-use. Let's show you this Son of Kitten's Joy, his last start back on April 29th. You may look at the running line and go, geez, he didn't show up at all. Major excuse is the number 4. They break, he'll get squeezed, and he'll clip heels and stumble and is completely out of the race. And he is not a horse that, for the most part, is a deep closer from left field. He's way more tactical than that last race shows. I'd imagine Gaff Leon's going to have him covered up inside, and if he's good enough, he'll get the right trip here.
And that's exactly what I thought. I think he sits the perfect trip, and as when Jason was talking about his early pick 5, I told you there's a lot of speed in this race with Give to UK Cats and Squadron. These horses love to go to the front, and I just thought this horse, Tipsy Kitten for trainer David Fawkes Tyler, sits the perfect trip, and absolutely, as you saw there, eliminated last time.
I am back to Saffie Joseph Jr. I've been riding and pretty lucky riding the recent Saffie white hot streak. Even Pete Aiello joked with me on Thursday as we got up. It was fairly late in the day. I think it was the 9th race that day, or 8th race rather, because we only ran 9, and there was a horse off the claim for Saffie and Sammy Sunshine. And Pete was saying and joking with me, he goes, if I could have got a bet down as to who you would pick, I just knew. I knew you were 1-9 to have Saffie on top. And I think with the pace situation you talked about, although J.R.'s Holiday is very much a grinding one-run plotter who needs a lot of luck and the right trip to go his way, I think he's going to get it this afternoon. And he comes out of a race, in fact, where a few horses have returned out of that Sahara Storm race to return and run pretty well. J.R.'s Holiday for me, but a good race from front to back.
Yeah, J.R.'s Holiday, I would like to have some of the money back that I bet on this. I've been betting on him forever, and he just hasn't won since, I think, 2016. He's always there. I always want him to sit that trip. I got him in 4th. I went with the one Tipsy Kitten because I looked at the replay that you just showed, and I said, maybe this is the right one. But the other horses, we're totally in disagreement here, which I love. I used Give to UK Cats as turning back to mile. This one went up and set the pace, just got caught at the wire. He was 2nd last time out, going a mile in the 16th. Nick Juarez, Marcus Vitale. Nick is going to put this horse on the lead. But my concern is, what do you do with Squadron, who's got to go?
Squadron's a need the lead. He's going. Big Louis D, the 5, stretch out. I think he's going. And just the facts with Edgar Zayas isn't slow. I think you're getting a very honest pace in this race. And in the end, that may just bolster the chances of more of the deep closers, off the pace types that I prefer, like J.R.'s Holiday, and the other quote-unquote David Fawkes trained horse in the race. We know he's got Tipsy Kitten dropping on the rail. He's also got Blue Harbor, who's done some pretty good things here at Gulfstream in the past, a 5-time winner. So the coast is clear. We'll take a little break. We'll get the coast is clear to talk about our stakes race. The coast is clear. There's a lot more Gulfstream today coming your way, so don't go anywhere.
to the finish with Fort Lauderdale to catch him. They're not going to catch him. Fort Lauderdale, the winner. He went clear at the start, and he's coming home, turning handspring. Fort Lauderdale, brilliant in the Steven Monster. What a thriller in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Fort Lauderdale gets deep, nose and nose to the wire. Fort Lauderdale has won it.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to this Sunday edition of Gulfstream Today, an 11-race July 22nd program lined up. Ronnie and Jason with you from the bright lights of our third-floor clubhouse studios here at Gulfstream Park. We are fast and firm. We're back on the turf, and we exceeded $400K for the first time in a couple of weeks in that Rainbow Six carryover.
Yeah, and it's going to be well over $500,000. Here's my ticket, $43.20, and I went 3 deep in here with Bluegrass Envy, Diamond Square, and El Faron. But my best bet comes in race number 7. That's the 11 Big Clue. Blinkers on, just sits on the outside. Tyler Gaffleone facing better in there. And then my long shot in the last race is the number 6. That's Royal Flyer, 10-1 on the morning line. I just thought blinkers off, stretching out, that this was going to be the horse to beat, and a little bit of a price. Wanted to go a little deeper in there, but I want to always keep it under that $50 mark so I can afford it at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way with the pick fives.
Right.
I'm blowing up a total of $54 today.
Right.
The original late pick 5 ticket I drew up, which you'll see obviously after we discuss the opening leg of the Rainbow Six and Sunday 6, was way more money than I would have been willing to put in. So I had to trim a few horses, and unbeknownst to me at the time, I trimmed your long shot off. I had that horse in the mix, and that horse got the heave-ho, so you know how that goes.
It's going to be a fun day.
I know the ending to this movie. I don't even have to say it. I know what's going to happen. But anyway, we start things out in race 6 for today's Rainbow, and to me, if you would ask me, what are the 2 biggest bullets going in as far as pre-race keys? It's the consistency and the good recent form of the 6 Diamond Square. He's on one side. And then the potential loose on the lead Bluegrass Envy, who and we both have him on top. I don't see Jaramillo staying on this horse for Barboza. If Victor didn't think whatever happened last time, he's got corrected, and you're going to get a much better effort today.
Yeah, and we saw it the same way. Definitely a candidate for a rebound performance after following those pair of really solid efforts. Comes back, and that clunker last time out, those 2 efforts before were on wet tracks. The last time was on the fast track, but it is Victor Barboza Jr. Make a good point with Embassy Jaramillo. But Diamond Square, if the track is like yesterday, run to the window and bet Diamond Square. It's going to sit a perfect trip. But I like Bluegrass Envy for those reasons with the trainer. Diamond Square in second, and I used that Il Faron in third. Got the best last race buyer of 65 on my ticket.
It feels like Victor's just very, very wise and has a great sort of foresight when he may spread the wealth around a little bit. It seems like a Misael, even if a horse is coming out of a poor effort for Victor, if a Misael is riding, that horse always seems to run a bit better than their last race. And because Victor will spread his options around in terms of some of the riders here in the colony, I just don't see a Misael getting back aboard Bluegrass Envy if they did not think he was sitting on a big race. And in the end, he might just get loose anyway as a lone speed type in race 6. 7th on the afternoon, we do have a field of 11. That is a popular number today on this July 22nd at Gulfstream Park. Late pick 5 gets underway with this good-sized field of maiden claimers on the turf and a single right off the bat. I got to single this horse. I know he's a little outside with the post, but this is my kind of horse till the cows come home. In this day and age, for me, the biggest factor with any horse is the trainer. Everything falls in line following the guy or the gal putting the saddle on the horse. And with all due respect and peace and love, this is a monstrous trainer change this afternoon with the horse who's picked up consistent checks for second and third to Bobby DeBona. I love that, and the fact that Gaffleone rides just seals the deal. I don't think there's going to be any more obvious clue with Big Clue than that trainer change, Ronnie, to Bob DeBona. Single for me to start. Three-bagger in races 8, 9, and 10. We got a little 2-year-old filly action in the 8th. How about the pace in the 9th? Do you like One Direction Song?
No, I put that horse in third, but he can be the lone. People are going to show a video of that horse. I really, that horse has been a bane of my existence. When I pick it, he don't run. When I do pick it, he runs second or third. So I use him. Did you use him just alone?
I did not pick her on top. I feel as though the biggest key, though, is what happens with the number 2, Norma's Hot Dude, who's not on my ticket in race number 9. Do they hook up? Because the race goes through One Direction Song, who, despite not winning her last couple in close defeats, has really stepped up her game. And then we move on to race number 10. Speaking of potential questions going into each specific race, well, which Conquest Big E? Do we get the Big E or do we get the very tiny Big E today? He's been very good at times. He's also been pretty average. I think the one sort of, I don't know, answer or at least theme with Conquest Big E is you can kind of expect the unexpected. He's supposed to run big, though. All that said, and his inconsistencies aside, he's supposed to run big getting back to GP.
Yeah, and I just I couldn't find myself even think of singling in that horse, and I went 3 deep. A couple of other selections in yours in the last race, 2 and 4 and 2 and 6 for me.
And I might be a little light in the nightcap there again. Ronnie's a long shot, the number 6. That was a Royal Flyer, correct?
Right.
Yes, for Georgina Baxter was the horse that I trimmed off that ticket just for cost reasons. And let's get back to the action here in race number 7. The main, or at least obvious, well-bet firepower is towards the outside in this race. Bad posts, or at least tougher posts, for the likes of the 10, Tropical Cognac, and the 11, Big Clue, who I think, when it's all said and done, will likely be a clear favorite in this race after running fairly well out of town, but running well nonetheless for a trainer who, again, with peace and love, was 1 for 67. Now you're switching to a guy who's really good and wins a lot of races here with a modestly sized stable and Bob DeBona. I really, really, really like Big Clue.
Yeah, and that was all my thought process in there. Tyler Gaffleone certainly adds to the appeal, but very interesting, as you mentioned at the top of the show, we have not run a turf race since the first race on Friday. Going to be real interesting to see in the early races how this turf course is going to play, being on that new pristine inside going from 60-foot rail out. So a Big Clue, obvious. Tropical Cognac really been running solid 3rd and 4th, and Starship Pinnacle, I thought those were the logical 3 in my estimation.
And Starship Pinnacle, 1 of 2 in the race for trainer Steve Dwoskin. I went and prefer the other Steve Dwoskin horse, the 4 Cool Mover, who is back on what I think is his preferred surface and does keep Miguel Vasquez there from post 4 in that 11-horse cast. Let's move on to race number 8. Bit of guesswork goes on here. First and foremost in this 2-year-old filly 16K maiden claimer on the dirt at 5/8. You've got 2 in the race for Ralph Nix. You've got another 2 in the race for trainer Antonio Sano. And you've got a firster, just 1 in the race, but a firster nonetheless for Victor Barboza Jr. The 3 always Venezuela. It seems like most of these Venezuela horses from these guys from Venezuela, it seems like most of them can run a little bit.
Well, I was looking at the breeding in this, just Venezuela, and they all make $80,000 or $100,000 when I was looking down. But I'm going to show you a great stat. You did a good guess by putting this one on top. Victor Barboza Jr., 2-year-old first-time starters, maiden claimers on the dirt. He's 10 for 22, 45%. 59% in the money, and he's batting over 500 with the return of investment. So pretty darn good. I went with Bargain Epic. Why? Previous experience, as simple as that.
Yes, Ralph does have the advantage there of having a horse who's already started, but a real scramble. Anxious to see what the betting in the end will be, and maybe one of the horses we haven't talked about, the 2 for Antonio, 2 for Ralph, and Barboza's firster. Maybe there's somebody else shipping in that may take some money, including that firster towards the outside and Crosswind Katie, who I went back, I'm going, you know what, this 9 horse for Antonio Mercado might get a little action there with Luis Castillo. Anyway, let's move on to the 9th. Pace, pace, pace. What happens with the 2 Norma's Hot Dude and the 3 One Direction Song? Here is One Direction Song 2 back on June the 3rd. I think this was a Sunday afternoon, and she ran great in this race. She has really stepped up her game. I remember when she was kind of a long-time losing maiden claimer who had burned a lot of money, but figuring out she's a turf horse that wants to go to the lead has brought out her best. In the end, though, I think she's going to have to work pretty hard through at least the most important stages of today's 9th race due to the presence of the number 2, Norma's Hot Dude. I might be rating the 4 Pure One over. I might be overrating the number 4 Pure One. That said, I liked her when she was with Christoph. She's coming off a layoff of about 50 days, and I'm just hoping she gets a fast pace. And hopefully she's as good as I think she is. But I admit I might be overrating her a bit.
Yeah, Pure One. I did not have the one on the ticket, but I'm going to go back and research it. But I did go with the 5 Wild Chatter. Making her first start, she rallied to score by a nose when defeating similar competition. That was going back on May 10th, I believe it was. Georgina Baxter, Tyler Gaffleone, daughter of Wildcat Air. Another wide open race. The one horse I kept going back to was Norma's Hot Dude. This one makes her sophomore debut. She was really good last time out. She defeated a trio of next out winners, but that was New Year's Eve. So
right,
what do you get when she comes back?
I think she's going to have to work pretty hard, and she's going to have to be really good due to the presence of One Direction Song, who's at the top of her game. I think we're looking at a very honest pace, and I prefer horses that can sit and make runs from off the pace in the 9th. Here's race number 10. This is our featured $75,000. The coast is clear at a 1-turn mile, and you do have some horses who have done some pretty darn nice things. Mr. Jordan on the outside, and what about Conquest Big E for trainer Donna Green Hertak? Has this horse been a terrific private buy or what for Danny Hertak? Here is his claim to fame, and I can still remember Florida Derby Day here, watching the undercard races on March 31st, just waiting for Always Dreaming, the Derby and Florida Derby winner from the year prior, and maybe a little Tommy Macho to swallow this gray up on the front end. Conquest Big E would have none of it. I do think his connections have learned you better just stay here at Gulfstream Park. He does not seem to handle shipping well at all. I'm throwing out, like many people will, that last place finish in that 5-horse Westchester on May 5th at Belmont Park. He's back down here, back home to Gulfstream Park. And do we get a Jekyll and Hyde type horse, or do we get the real and really capable Conquest Big E today?
Yeah, winner of 3 of 10 races on this main track. So Conquest Big E, certainly the one to beat. But what do you do with Mr. Jordan? You have him second. He's stretching out to a mile. He's braking slowly, never got on track when finishing 8th and last behind XY Jet. That was in the Grade 3 Smile Sprint last time out. Boy, this horse, he's either good or he's either bad. But I found a stat on Ed Plisa Jr. that I found interesting while I was looking with Mr. Jordan. It's second after the layoff, going from a sprint to route on the dirt. It's 3 for 13, right? 2 of those times, it was Mr. Jordan. So he's done well with him. It was just, you know, I wanted to see some workouts from this horse, and I just didn't see them. I wanted to know what to do with Mr. Jordan. You have him in second. You have more faith in him than I do.
I do. It just seems, even going back to April and even June, that this horse probably gallops pretty strongly, and Eddie feels that he just doesn't have to have a timed workout all that often. The fact that he put him in this race and figured that it would have Conquest Big E is going to give me some confidence Mr. Jordan will run. I see you've got D-Land second in that race.
Yeah, this is the horse I almost put on top. I just like this one. Turning back to a mile after returning from the freshening. Set the pace. Finished second behind the High Riverside in the 80-62 optional claimer. Victor Barboza Jr., MCL Jaramillo. I smell a good performance in this horse, and I keep wanting to go back and put him on top.
All right, sounds good, my friend. Nice little stake today with Mr. Jordan and, of course, the enigmatic Conquest Big E. We'll do the finale quickly as we have Pete Aiello standing by and not having to run to the set, my friend, for those scratches and changes. 7.5 furlongs on the grass here to close down the week at Gulfstream Park. I'm just in the camp of the more lightly raced runners in the race, including the 4 Hard Worker, who makes his turf debut, and the number 2, Spanish Dude. Who do you like, my dude?
Spanish Dude is a logical choice, but I told you I got my long shot in here. We talked about that horse, Royal Flyer, listed as a gelding, getting the blinkers off, getting a little bit of a shot at 10-1.
All right, our man Pete Aiello, 10, rested and ready, and sitting on a big day here at Gulfstream Park. Little stakes action, 400K plus in the rainbow. What more can you ask for? Ronnie and I, of course, with you guys all day long from downstairs right outside the walking ring. And without further ado, it's Pete Aiello with those Sunday scratches and changes.
A passion for horses and a commitment to breed champions is the foundation of Hardacre Farm. Founded by Amy Tarrant, owner, breeder, and trainer, Hardacre Farm, based in Ocala, continues its tradition of success from the Breeders' Cup to Gulfstream Park. Hardacre Farm, from the breeding shed to the racetrack, in pursuit of producing the best.